Alaska State Troopers fatally shot a man reportedly wielding a harpoon at a Kenai Peninsula dip netting site. Troopers were called to South Kasilof Beach about 12:20 this morning with a report of Kirk medak being armed with a sword and threatening to kill people. That's according to Alaska State Troopers. They say they found him near a cluster of tents and that he initially retreated, but when officers exited their vehicle, he charged at them, brandishing a harpoon and ignoring the troopers' commands. The trooper shot medak, and he was declared dead at the scene, according to the trooper dispatch.
D.C. police investigating after US Marshals shot a carjacking suspect in Northwest early this morning. The suspect is accused of pulling out a gun when trying to steal a Marshals car on 11th Street. Investigators shared this picture of the suspect's gun after two Marshals fired several rounds. 18-year-old Kendrall Flowers is now facing several charges, including armed carjacking.
Continuing coverage of the officer-involved shooting that happened in West Jordan. We now have confirmation from West Jordan PD that the suspect involved died overnight. Last night, West Jordan police responded to a call at a house about a domestic violence incident. When police arrived to the home, they say the suspect began shooting at the officers. The suspect then reportedly got into a vehicle and drove away from the scene. During the chase, they continued firing at police until it came to an end at around 96 South. Now, police have identified the suspect as Nicholas Kemp. While they haven't released new information, at 10 o'clock we'll take a deeper dive and hear from an officer at the scene of the fatal incident.
Now being investigated by the South Dakota DCI as an officer-involved shooting. Just hours ago, authorities released the name of the man killed. He has been identified as 26-year-old Daniel Todd Augustine. Attorney General Marty Jackley says that his office will look at all the evidence to determine if the use of force was justified.
I have a policy that typically within 30 days we will release a detailed report talking about how the circumstances arose, looking at and talking about the different pieces of evidence.
There was a large police presence at the gas station all morning long, and the parking lot was still taped off this afternoon.
So much for watching tonight. We have breaking news. Police say a man was shot and killed by officers in Easley today.
Our Elise Devlin's been following this story for us all day, standing by live in Easley with the latest information. Elise.
Amy Gordon, good evening. The Pickens County Coroner's Office confirmed with us one man in his 20s was shot and killed, and the Easley Police Department tells us at least one of their officers fired their weapon. A little before 11 o'clock this morning, police say a man tried to steal from a store and then started threatening a manager at Tractor Supply Company in Easley.
He then departed. An individual actually trailed behind him in another vehicle to try to get the vehicle license information. They then went to 752 Rolling Hills Circle. He then threatened the individual in the other car with putting gasoline on their vehicle.
Officers say they arrived shortly after and tried to de-escalate the scene. We're told at least one officer fired their weapon.
We know that there are several gunshot wounds at this point.
The coroner's office says more information will be released in the next few days after the victim's family is notified and an autopsy can be conducted.
Our office, as well as Easley City Police Department and SLED, we're all working together, and in the next couple of days we'll have an autopsy performed.
A man is dead tonight after he was shot by a San Diego police officer on a popular street in La Jolla. Thanks for joining us. I'm Moses Small. ABC 10 News reporter Spencer Soicher is in La Jolla tonight, where police say the man came at officers with a knife first.
The police department says it started getting calls at about 7 a.m. about some sort of disturbance happening at this CVS store. And not long after, this busy street became the site of a deadly shooting.
A shooting?
It's got everyone in the neighborhood surprised. A quiet spot that has people and tourists talking this morning.
Super shocked, super safe neighborhood. Never feel like there's any problems here at all.
At about 7 o'clock this morning, the San Diego Sheriff's Department said multiple people called the police department about a man with a knife here on La Jolla Boulevard in Midway.
San Diego police officers responded to the location and observed a vehicle stopped in the roadway and observed a Hispanic male in his 20s, and that male started walking towards them with a knife.
San Diego Sheriff's Lieutenant Lon Wynn says the officers drew their guns and told the man to drop the knife. They claim he didn't.
The subject was struck by gunfire, and officers rendered immediate medical aid. Paramedics were able to transport the victim to a local hospital where he later died.
The sheriff's department says one officer shot the man. He was the only person hurt. The sheriff's department believes this is the man's car, the trunk of it open, just like the entrance to the store. Now, as people walk down the street, they're talking, looking, and trying to piece together what happened in their neighborhood this morning.
Yeah, it's a bummer because, you know, we're a pretty small, tight-knit community. It's sad to think that that stuff can happen here.
Because this shooting involved a San Diego police officer, the shooting will be investigated by the San Diego Sheriff's Department. In La Jolla, Spencer Soysher, ABC 10 News.
The sheriff's office is investigating after a man and a woman are killed in Mandaville during an officer-involved shooting. And they say it started when Mandaville PD first responded to a welfare check Friday night that quickly escalated. Josh Robertson has this story.
At first, she thought it was fireworks. And then realized it was gunfire.
A wellness check turned deadly.
Just before dark or so, we were moving my son. We came out of the apartment to come check something. And we got to about halfway, and one of the ladies in another apartment grabbed us. She opened her door and she said, "Hey, y'all might not want to be out there. There's gunfire going on."
Friday evening in the 700 block of Heavens Drive, the St. Tammany Sheriff's Office says Mandaville PD were called to a condominium where they heard a woman screaming. They say that woman ran from the home, yelling that someone was trying to kill her. The police say seconds later, a man emerged from the home holding a gun and shot the woman several times.
I heard several shots go off, and then a couple minutes after that, I heard a couple more.
Authorities say a Mandaville officer took cover after the woman was shot, called for backup, and ordered the man to drop his gun. When he refused, the officer tased him.
I knew it was gunfire, I just didn't know who or what, and wasn't about to step out here and find out.
Authorities say the man pointed the gun at officers who responded by shooting him. St. Tammany Sheriff Randy Smith says no officers were hurt, but that the man and woman died at the hospital.
You wouldn't want to see that happen to anybody, and they have children. I know they had a couple of children.
Several neighbors identified the man to Fox 8 as a Covington podiatric surgeon, although the St. Tammany Coroner's Office had not identified the man or woman as of early Saturday afternoon. It's unclear what led up to the altercation and police initially being called to the scene, but neighbors like Robert Crummell say domestic issues between the couple were not uncommon. Crummell and others we spoke to say the entire incident left them shaken.
Scared to death. I mean, we live in these condos that the only thing that separates one unit from the next is sheetrock.
It's scary. It's scary. You know, that it happened right here. We didn't expect it. We think of Mandeville as a home, you know, and that these things don't happen.
Josh Robertson, Fox 8, Local First.